only Super Mario. Today's video is going to be a treat for those who are looking for the ultimate lifestyle of living on board a cruise ship. You're going to learn from the best here, someone who has been doing it the longest for sure, and the most savvy here. We went into the cost of what it takes to live at sea here. So if you're interested in diving into the nitty-gritty today, we're going to be learning from the one and only Super Mario on tips and tricks from the trade. Almost 3 decades at sea here. Right. So you've accumulated some good knowledge of how to beat the system, if we will.
And prepare for it.
There you go.
And prepare for it. So again, we did a video on this back in 2019 on the things you have to do and consider to prepare to live full-time at sea. And it goes into a lot of detail in that original video. What we're going to do now is basically do a more of a summary type thing. I have 12 major tips for those who want to live at sea, things you have to consider. If you're going to do a checklist, you want to have these 12 things on your checklist.
Okay.
So you want to get started?
Let's get started. So if you have any further questions, again, that whole entire playlist will be listed down below. So if you want to dive into anything else that perhaps we don't cover today, you can check that out. But I'm excited to hear how perhaps these 12 tips have changed since the last 4 years since we did this video.
So tip number 1, you want to test market living at sea. If you're going to launch a new product, you know, a consumer product, you don't just put it out there and for sale. You test market it, and then you refine it, and you make changes to it, and you see what response you get. Same thing with living at sea. You want to test market living at sea, and by test market I mean live in phases. Let's say do 2 months at a time, and then see how it felt. Then do 3 months, and then do 6 months, and ease into it. And you may decide that after doing your test market that, hey, you know, this is not for me.
Right, whether it's the lifestyle all in itself, or perhaps the cruise line, or the size of ship that you're sailing as well, because of course you're going to have preferences.
Exactly, your lifestyle, everything changes. So you may want to just take it in stride and do a phase test market. Okay.
Tip number 2.
Tip number 2, you want to develop a long-term plan ahead of time, which is what I did when I started. I had 15 years to prepare for it. You may not have that, but you want to develop a long-term plan ahead of time, which includes the following element in that long-term plan. You need to discover your cruising style. I say that. Why is that important? Because your cruising style will determine which cruise line you're going to select for your living at sea. So most people say, well, I don't even know what my cruising style looks like. Well, you're going to learn by doing the test market what your cruising style is. And by that I mean, what are the things that you value the most on a cruise ship? It could be the food, it could be the entertainment, it could be the destinations, it could be the ship itself. So what is your cruising style? What are the favorite things you like to do, the must things you want to have on a cruise ship? It took me a while to discover my cruising style, but I finally got it.
I think that's an interesting one as well, though, because your cruising style might change as well during that test market.
Totally.
Things will kind of be all bright and shiny and really amazing, and then after a little bit of while, after you're, you know, figuring out what works for the long term, that cruising style might change as you get more into your daily routine, which also we talked about extensively of how you get into the routine of what your life looks like on board.
Right, and that's why that test market is very important. Because that's when you're going to really discover your cruising style.
Yeah.
And you may see changes along the way when you do 3 months, 6 months, maybe 9 months. You know, you're going to see it evolve over time. In my case, it evolved tremendously.
I think you have a very relaxed cruising style these days.
I do. I've relaxed a lot more than when I started. I really, really did.
So of course your cruising style is going to look differently depending on what cruise line, perhaps one that might be kind of different if you're looking to maybe read a book or do something differently.
Exactly. So if you want a more relaxed, more tranquil cruising style, no frills, no flow rider, that kind of thing, just relaxing, you may want to choose something like a Celebrity cruise line.
I see.
Okay, as opposed to Royal Caribbean, which is more the adventure type. Okay. Okay, then you gotta, next tip is you have to decide how many weeks per year you're gonna cruise and how many weeks on land. Okay, when you're cruising full time, you say, well, I'm gonna be 52 weeks. Well, in practice, I discovered, that I could do 50 weeks a year, and I need 2 weeks to do my what I call dry dock, meaning my personal maintenance. I got to do my medical checkups, dental, do my car maintenance, and take care of things on land that I cannot do on a ship.
And that's not to say that perhaps on those turnaround days you do squeeze in some doctor's appointments and things of that sort in the middle of the year as well. You don't always have it on those that time frame, but for the most part, it's a good chunk of time to.
Yeah. So you decide just how many weeks a year. You want to do 52 weeks? Good, fine with me. For me, 50 weeks works best. So yeah, but then you can use time on turnaround days to do some things that are not too time consuming because you have to be back to the ship. Okay?
Right.
Next tip is very important. You need to have a home base.
So whether that is someplace that you call your own or a family residence that you can send mail to.
Go to. A home base, okay? That's very important because you need to have a place where you could have your personal belongings, your mail, your
all of your Pinnacle plaques, your
Pinnacle
memorabilia
plaques,
from on board.
Now, for me, home base is in my home port, which is Miami. So I'm usually cruising out of Miami, and I have a home base in Miami. I can get off the ship on turnaround day, visit my home base, resupply. You don't need to carry a lot of clothes. I have 1 week's worth of clothes. I drop off dirty laundry, bring in fresh, resupply, bingo, I'm back on the ship. So you need to have that home base.
You don't think a Airbnb could be something that would work, for people to just not have a home base, eliminate that cost? I can see a lot of people not wanting to spend that money. They want to sell their condo so they can afford this lifestyle. Perhaps, just when they're vacationing or when they do the 6 months on, 4 months off, however they choose that time length.
Well,
there's
you can
benefits
do that.
to having the own
that.
if you can, right?
If you need to fund your cruising life with funds and you don't have enough, then you would probably I'm going to sell my house, I'm going to sell my condo, and then what do you do with your personal belongings? You send them to a friend's house, a relative's house, you put them in storage.
Right.
And I talked to a gentleman who likes to live full-time at sea, and he sold his house, and then he regretted it. He's saying, he lives in Orlando, by the way. You may know him. And then he bought another property because he decided he wanted to take a break from cruising, and he had no place to go. So,
do any of your friends, by chance, not sell their home, but sell their home on VRBO or Airbnb and rent it out for the time that they're away to help supplement, that income loss of not being there?
You mean my friends on Royal? The ones
friends who also do similarly to you.
Well, Royal is my world. I only know people in Royal Caribbean because I'm not doing anything else. I don't know anybody on Royal Caribbean who's cruising more than 9 months. 9 months is the longest that I know the other frequent cruises.
So the majority, they're not renting out their primary residences?
No, none of them are. I mean, I know all the 20 top cruises on Royal, and none of them are renting out or selling their personal residence.
Yeah. I think with my age demographic, it's much more of a common thing to be a digital nomad and to have no primary residence and to really lean into the gypsy lifestyle or if you do have it, you can't fathom saying no to that income of I can turn this into some passive income while I'm not there. So I think there's some differences in perspective as well, but also
case by case. But I think there's some general rules.
Yeah.
To me, is having my home base because of convenience. I can go there, but also as insurance policy. As an insurance policy, if I decide I want to change my whole life again, I have a place to live.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a health issue that prevents me from cruising.
Yeah, that's true too.
And then I have to lean back on my home base. Now, you knew a lady that cruised a lot on other cruise line.
Mama Lee.
I don't know what she did with her personal residence and her belongings. I don't know what she did. You need to make plans to visit family and friends on land. Now, you can do that on those so-called 2 weeks of off time, or you could do it on turnaround day, probably not enough time, or you can have them come to the ship to visit you.
I like that idea, having some friends come on.
Okay, but basically the bottom line here is once you live on a cruise ship, you're basically going to be away from friends and family. You have to break away from them because it's unrealistic to think you're going to be able to see them.
Yeah, and I think I remember from some of our earlier episodes where how you talked about how during that trial period, people would realize how heartbreaking in a sense it would be to not only, kind of say goodbye to maybe their pets or something and rehome their pets, or missing too many of their grandkids' birthdays or celebrations and things like that, and it wore on them to where it wasn't fitting to the lifestyle, and that they would have to lean back on how much time they were spending so that they could make those memories at home.
Absolutely correct, Alana. And the more friends and family and grandchildren is the big one. Grandchildren and pets. The more of those you have, you're not going to be able to do this.
It complicates everything for sure.
You're not going to be able to do. You're going to be sad. Your lifestyle will not be a happy one if you have to do that. Okay. Finances. You need to have adequate resources to do this. I mean, we've gone through the numbers before.
Of course.
And in my case, I go on the cheap. I do the 80,000 scenario. But some people say, I cannot live in an inside cabin 52 weeks a year. I'm sorry.
Right.
Year after year. Okay, I can do it, but most people that I've talked to, they won't be able to do it. So you're talking the big numbers. And then you have to worry about how you're going to fund that lifestyle, that 120,000 or 200,000. So you have to make plans for that, for those resources, so you could pay for them over time, because it's not going to be 1 year, 2 years. It's going to be every year. Okay.
And how many of your friends as well are, now for those who don't know, Mario is self-employed, has his own business, and so you do have some income still coming in.
Right.
And a lot of your friends who also spend quite a bit of time on board, are they still working?
No.
Okay,
No,
so
they're all
you're one of the only ones who kind of like
Right.
has your laptop, and you're tying into
Right.
using
Right.
using some of those resources still coming in to support the lifestyle.
Correct. The majority of my other peers that cruise a lot do not are retired, except maybe for one person, the lady that lives near Tampa. She has a business at home, some kind of a real estate, some real estate business that some people are running for her. So she's basically overseeing it from the ship, but she's got people running it on a day-to-day basis, so she doesn't have to be around to do it, and she derives income, I'm sure, for that, and funds the cruises. But by and large, most people that cruise very frequently are retired.
I see. Okay.
By and large, yeah. Medical care. If you have a health issue, let's say a major health issue.
Like needing surgery, spending that time away to,
Right.
Perhaps go get a biopsy, checkups. They want to see you a follow-up.
You have a major health issue, you're not going to be able to live on a ship.
Right.
The doctor's going to ask you to escort. He's going to escort you out, and you're not going to be allowed to stay on the ship. Why? Because the medical facility is not a hospital. It's just an emergency medical facility, and if you're really sick or need attention, need medical care, they're going to ask you to go seek it somewhere else online.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
All goes well, and you can stay healthy, right?
Yeah. So people ask me, how long you plan to do this? I said, as long as I have good health. Health is number one. Without health, there's nothing else. Okay, so you got to provide for medical care.
Right.
And those, again, we'll go back to those 2 weeks.
With the medical care, I want to add one thing here. I know so many people have questions about this, making it obtainable and making it safe in the sense of you never know what could happen, of course. So do you have health insurance, travel insurance that covers perhaps the most expensive thing that could happen while you're on board, perhaps a helicopter evac? Do you purchase all of that to cover?
Yes, I have two policies. One is Medicare, because I'm over 65, obviously. So I have my Medicare coverage in the U.S. And when I go on land,
and that's why it makes sense to have that primary residence, so you can have the Medicare.
There you go. So I have Medicare. I can visit go on any hospital, any doctor, anything. and it covers it. Okay, Medicare, subject to the rules of Medicare, obviously. Then I have Medicare does not cover you outside the U.S. I don't know, you know that, right? Okay, so you need something else, and what that something else need is a travel policy that covers you for two things. In my case, medical care out in a foreign country or on the ship, which can get a little expensive, but more importantly, evacuation. Helicopter evacuation off the ship, that could break the bank.
For sure.
If you don't have that. And those policies, they're annual policies, by the way. You don't have to do it week by week, like when you do the booking, they want to sell you the insurance. No.
Right.
You do an annual plan with either, it could be Florida Blue or Allianz or something like that. They have an annual plan that covers you as many weeks as you're away from the U.S. for like $300 a year.
Oh, that's quite reasonable.
For travel, evacuation.
Yeah.
If you have to face one of those issues, you're going to be glad you have that policy. I've never had a problem with that, but it's there in case. And also medical expenses outside the U.S.
Yeah.
It covers that.
Thanks for covering that. I know people will be interested in that.
Yeah. Now you have to be away from the U.S. for that to
Right.
kick in, right? Yeah. Okay. Then you have to worry about prescriptions. Why are you going to get prescriptions? Well, where do I get them? I get them in my home base.
Turnaround days.
Turnaround days, I request a 90-day supply from using Medicare, my Medicare Part D, right? And they ship them to my condo every 90 days, and I pick them up, and bingo, I got
Easy.
prescriptions. So if you don't have a home base, where are you going to send them? You can't send them to the ship; they're going to get lost.
Right.
And finally, then you need to worry about clothing and supplies. How are you going to manage your clothing and supplies inventory? You're going to do laundry on the ship. You're going to go to your home base like I do every week or every 2 weeks and change clothes and resupply.
Right.
So those
And
are.
of course, you could do laundry on board because you have free laundry with your Pinnacle status.
No, you don't.
You don't have free
No,
laundry.
no, we don't have free laundry.
I forgot.
No,
Shame
we
on
don't.
me.
No. That hasn't
Don't you-
kicked in yet. Only free internet and the free drink vouchers.
Tisk tisk, Alana.
No, there's
Oh.
another cruise line that begins with the letter P that has free laundry. I think for the top tiers. Only one that I know
shucks.
of.
All right, I'm gonna have to, be stinky in my dirty clothes. Apparently, then that's for
Okay.
sure. But that's one of those comforts of, having those different type of perks that make it important to you. I think free laundry would be a important thing for me if I was
Yeah.
to obtain the lifestyle. So
Yeah.
interesting for sure.
You get what they call a free bag of laundry. Okay, but it's
Yeah.
a bag of laundry. It's not full laundry. It's not the full thing. I mean, it's not.
I'm gonna stuff that bag
No,
as
it's
full
not-
as I can.
It's only T-shirts and underwear and socks, basically, that you can put in there.
It's not enough.
No, it's not a real, I want to have shirts.
It's one a cruise.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
if you're on a
it's- yeah.
7-day cruise, it's
Exactly.
not your entire week's
Ex-
wardrobe.
Exactly. It's a free bag of laundry. Yeah.
Well, every little bit helps, I guess.
Right.
So we're talking about all of the comforts with your laundry, making sure that your stay in your accommodations are as easy as possible, making it a happy experience. But with so many weeks after weeks on board, there's one major thing though that could really put a wrinkle, pun intended, on all of this is your stay with your cabin. What can you advise on how to make sure that you're
Right.
comfortable in your cabin?
People ask me, does Royal sell you a long-term plan? And I go, no. Their business model does not allow for that. They will not sell me 6 months worth of cruises or 10 months or anything like that. You have to go cruise by cruise like everybody else. You make a booking for every cruise. You have a booking number, a deposit, just like everybody else. What does that mean? It means you need to have continuity of a cabin. If you're going to sail 50 weeks, you need to have the same cabin every week. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic having to change cabins. So the only way to secure the same cabin for many consecutive cruises is to book as early as possible, which goes back to the price thing. You get the best price, you get the same cabin, and that's the way it should work, because otherwise you're going to go crazy moving around.
Right.
Yeah.
So booking as early as possible, but you're not then going for those GTY fares, which means that the cruise line will pick your cabin for you, kind of right up before your cruise. So
Right.
you just gotta take the savings and book as early as possible, because
yeah,
I can't imagine
no.
my room is tore up at the end of a cruise. I can't imagine moving every week. That would be very exhausting.
Right, and you could run into a situation where if you wait too long to book a particular week, it may be sold out.
Right.
And then what do? You don't have a home base? Where do you go for a hotel? You know, and you see everything sort of integrates itself here.
It's a lot of
Everything-
planning. It's a lot of
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheets. A lot of going into the nitty gritty to stay on top of it and staying organized.
Yeah. Oh, and one last one that I forgot: what to do with your car?
Sell it.
Not me. Just like my home base, I won't sell my car because I need my car to get to my home base. I'm not going to rely on Uber and taxis and stuff. No. I want convenience. When you get off the ship, you want to move real fast. Get off early and move fast.
I love how we have these differences on how perhaps different demographics, age demographics, think about these type of, like, I see it as a ball and chain, and you see it as freedom and flexibility. So
Totally.
so cool to see. And that's the last tip you have
That-
for
that's it.
achieving this
That's
lifestyle?
it. That's it. Pretty much. These are
Simple,
the 12
right?
tips, yeah.
There you go, easy peasy.
Yeah, but the more detailed version of this is in your prior video. I
Right.
think it's 2019 or whatever.
And,
Yeah.
and we shared previously as well Super Mario's Excel spreadsheet of how he crafts all of his cruises and stays organized. So we'll go ahead and link that as well. So for those who want to keep track of your cruises and get a hold of staying organized here, because you can't keep it all up in your head.
No.
Not with 50 weeks a year. That's too much.
No, I normally have 2 years worth of bookings
Yeah.
because that's as far out as I can book. I can book right now through May of 2025. So I think it's 98 bookings right now. That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, friends, it's always such a pleasure to sit down with my dear friend Super Mario and share with you his wealth of knowledge and, of course, his incredibly interesting lifestyle of living at sea. Mario, I can't thank you enough. I know the folks at home are going to be so delighted for this. It's such a treat to hear from you and share your knowledge. And, of course, Mario always says to come say hello on the pool deck, right? Come
Always
say
come
hi.
and see me. Always come and see me.
Take a
and visit
picture
me.
when you see him. Tell him you saw the
Yes.
video.
Yes. Yes, please do. I'm very approachable. Very, very much approachable. Okay.
Well, friends, thank you so much. Leave us your comments and questions down below. And until next time, ciao,
Ciao
for
for
now.
now.
Hey, Mario, I think it would be a great idea to give the viewers who have loved all of this series some goodies. What do you think?
I think they deserve it.
For sure. For
sure.
liking the video, for commenting, for subscribing, they should get a goodie.
Yes.
All right, folks, we're going to do a giveaway for this series here. Valencia's holding a ship model. We're actually going to have some goodies that Super Mario is going to sign himself, along with an exclusive
Ay, ay, ay.
royal tote bag.
Right.
You got to be pretty special to get one of those. It's a special gift from Super Mario himself. So be sure to, oh, yeah, there you
It's the
go.
model of the Harmony of the Seas,
There we go.
right? Which is where we are.
So we'll have all the details on how to put your name into the hat to enter into the giveaway down in the description box in the comments below. So be sure to hit the thumbs up and good luck to you if you're looking to win some goodies.